Hi there, and welcome to Remote RPGs. It takes a very rare RPG to possess charm. Charm is something that's tough to define, and even harder to find, but today's game has it in spades. Skies of Arcadia.
You're hard fitted indeed. Being a pirate is a wretched deed. Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Skies of Arcadia. Originally released for the Dreamcast in the year 2000, and then ported to the Gamecube as Skies of Arcadia Legends in 2002, Skies of Arcadia is a fantastic title. Although it was met with high critical success, and is fondly remembered by those who played it, the fact that it came out on the dying Dreamcast meant that not many people had a chance to play this one. I only managed to play it after dishing out quite a bit of cash for the Gamecube version. Was it worth it though? Well, yeah, I love this game. Is it one of my favorites? Probably not, but it was an experience and journey that I will fondly remember, and really, what more can you ask for? The plot of the game goes like this. Thousands of years ago, 6 civilizations coexisted on floating continents in the titular skies of Arcadia, a world with no apparent surface that is orbited by 6 moons of different colors. The civilizations, one of which existed for each moon, developed technologically to the point where each created a Gygus, a colossal living weapon of mass destruction, as well as the moon crystals, which could be used to control them. Using the Gygus, the civilizations warred with one another, which caused enormous environmental harm and threatened the extinction of all 6. The most advanced, the Silver Civilization, used their Gygus to summon the Rains of Destruction, which pulled meteors from the orbiting moons to crash into them onto the planet's surface. The catastrophic destruction stopped the rampages of the Gyguses, as well as nearly destroying the other 5 civilizations, thus ending the war. A seal was placed on the Silver Gygus to prevent the Rains from being used again, and the moon crystals were hidden away. In the present time, the militant and tyrannical Valuan Empire, run by Empress Theodora, seeks the moon crystals to awaken the Gyguses in order to take over the world. Valua's will is enforced through the Valuan Armada, a fleet of ironclad warships led by senior admirals and 6 of his underlings, under the authority of the Empress. They are primarily opposed to the Blue Rogues, a faction of air pirates who make it their point to harass the Armada as much as possible. Fina, a girl from the Silver Civilization, is sent to find the moon crystals before the Valuans can, and she has to bring them to a safe place. She is quickly captured by an admiral of the Armada, but then rescued by a group of Blue Rogues. Among them is the protagonists, Vice and Aika. Although Fina is initially reluctant to trust Vice and Aika, they eventually all agree to join together on their mission to gather the moon crystals in order to prevent the destruction of the world. The plot is about as classic as you can get, if you can't tell already, and the game puts on no guise of offering a super complex plot. This game really reminds me of Grandia for several reasons. Firstly, these are games that are powered by that, well, for lack of a better term, a Hayao Miyazaki charm, where you have a young coming-of-age protagonist and there's a lot of emphasis on exploration and wonder. These are character-driven games about exploring the unknown and pushing human curiosity to the limits. The story of Skies of Arcadia touches on themes of nature, history, power, greed, and freedom. It's a celebration and warning of what it means to be human. It chooses its moments to be lighthearted, but it also has some really dark moments throughout. It's very much like a Saturday morning cartoon, and it really, honestly, it's hard to explain, but this game just has a lot of charm and it makes you feel like a kid again. That's really the best way to describe it. It's a layered story that can appeal to anybody, but really it never loses its basic charm and simplicity with complex subplots or anything like that. It's really a game that focuses on having a good time, occasionally having some dark and interesting moments, but it never loses sight of what it is. I love the characters in this game. Vice is your protagonist, and although he is your typical RPG hero in a lot of ways, he manages to play that role very well and interestingly. He's dashing and very cocky, and he always knows what to say. What's really cool about Vice is that he manages to be his own character, but you also get to make a lot of choices for him, especially when you become captain later in the game, but that's for later on. All I can say about Vice is that he's a breath of fresh air from all of these long-haired, emo RPG protagonists who like to talk about their feelings and their troubled past and everything. Vice is just positive, he's a go-getter, and he's just a fun character. Aika is your typical tomboy love interest, while Fina is your typical soft-spoken, healer, female, quiet love interest. Again, this is not breaking any new ground, but the characters are all written well enough not to be annoying and quite memorable too. The same could be said of the supporting cast. Although I won't get into all the characters you meet, the characters are all vibrant, full of personality, and they make this game worth playing. The villains, though, are pretty cliche and predictable, though I do feel that they are pretty threatening, at least. Anyway, I feel like these characters are the reason why this game is cherished as it is, because they just provide a fun, interesting time. Skies of Arcadia presents a unique, appealing world to explore. The one thing I don't understand is how everybody hears each other talk. Like, they're all flying in the sky, but they can hear a person talking from the top of one ship, and then they hear that person talking like inside of their ship, like 20 miles away or something. And also, I don't understand how that works. Like, I don't know how sound works, but that's not supposed to be how it works, right? Anyway, and also, how the hell do they not fly off the top of these ships during a heated battle? I'm not going to ask questions. It's RPG logic. Anyway, this game is a lot like The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, because there's a whole world to discover, and there's a lot of stuff you can do aside from the main plot. Whether you're just flying around and seeing some kind of new discovery, finding some kind of new boss. It's really cool because this game is absolutely loaded with secrets, side quests, and just random discoveries to find. It really encourages you to just explore. You get the ship very early on in the game as opposed to like midway through the game in most other RPGs, and there's just a lot to see and do aside from the main plot. Other than that though, it's basically your typical RPG, where you have a regular battle system with random encounters, equipment, a magic system, a bunch of cool stuff. The battle system in the game is, well, in my opinion, average, and that's one of the reasons why I don't consider this one of my favorite games of all time. One thing that really bothers me is that there's a pretty high encounter rate. This was especially bad in the Dreamcast version, and it was somewhat rectified in the Gamecube version, but even in the Gamecube version, which is the version I played, I felt that there were way too many random encounters. And the worst part about these random encounters is that they were slow. First of all, okay, you get magic in this game, but magic is never really useful despite how much of it you get. You get new magic spells by equipping different types of attributes to your weapon, like making your weapon red, blue, green, purple, silver, etc. And then by using that color, you upgrade spells kind of in that spell tree by getting more experience from that. But the spells weren't too useful. I never found that I used spells, I just mostly used a lot of physical attacks to win the day, and that just seems kind of strange. Another reason why the battles kind of bothered me is that they were super duper slow. Even just like a regular enemy encounter could take like 10 minutes sometimes because of the slow animations, and because it's just, I don't know, it just felt like a very slow battle system, and it felt like I was slogging through it a lot of the time. Other than that though, it's like a well-balanced battle system. Like, it's challenging without being overbearing. The animations are flashy and interesting, and you can customize your characters to a certain degree, so I enjoyed that. I just think that if there's one thing I would have liked, is that if they kind of sped up the gameplay a bit. The other type of battles are the ship battles, and the ship battles are super cool. It's a really cool idea, and reminds me a lot of Xenogears, where you would fight in those big robots. And it offers a second type of battle system in-game. However, although it was a really cool idea, and it does borrow a lot of mechanics from the main battle system, I have the same complaint as I did with that battle system, in that it's really slow. Ship battles could often take up to 45 minutes, and although I appreciate that everything was on a grand scale and that it was very fun and there was a lot of strategy to it, again, I just don't understand why a battle has to take 45 minutes and you can't save anywhere in between that. I don't know, it may just be something that bothers me, but it was like basically the only game where I could set up my attacks for a turn, and then I could get up and then, I don't know, go like brush my teeth or go like make myself some lunch, and then I come back and then, oh great, my turn's almost done. It's just a very slow system, and you know what, I know this is kind of a superficial complaint, but it's really the only main complaint I have with the battle system. Other than that, the ship battles are really epic, they offer a lot of strategy, each battle is pretty unique in their strategies, which was really cool, and it's just a lot of fun other than that. The graphics in the game are amazing. I honestly found myself staring at the environments a lot. Like a typical RPG, there's a lot of different environments, like you have your typical forest area, like your fire area, your ice area, everything. But something about the music and the graphics combined, it was just a really like visually engaging world. Like, at many points I would find myself just staring at the scenery, which I rarely do in RPGs. My general style in RPGs is to kind of just go through it, see what I need to see, and just complete the main story usually as quick as I can, and I gotta move on to the next game. But in Skies of Arcadia, I really found myself stopping and like looking around and saying like, wow, like these locations are really visually interesting. Like, the ice cavern was fantastic. Even just something basic like your basic pirate island, it's just a very visually creative and cool game. The designs of the ships and the different enemies are fantastic. The ships, well, I'm not an expert on ships, but they seem pretty realistic and visually kind of distinct to each other. And apparently there's a lot of like influences from real world ships too, I'm told, but again, not an expert. And the design of the Gyguses were all very cool, very kind of threatening and mysterious, and it's just great stuff. And finally, the character models. The character models were really expressive and funny. They honestly make me wish that there was a cartoon version of this game. They're very expressive, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of funny facial animations, and basically there's a lot of showing rather than telling, and I always love that. The music in the game is also very well done. It's swashbuckling, it makes you excited, and it has great range. Some particular songs I liked were the theme of loneliness, Fina's theme, and the Kingdom of Ixtaka theme. I probably pronounced that wrong, but it's a really great soundtrack. In conclusion, Skies of Arcadia is a fantastic RPG that definitely deserves all the praise it's been getting. My main issue with the game is the battle system, which can be rather slow, and to be fair, I wasn't even aware that you could skip certain animations until I checked out a Let's Play after I'd completed the game. In any case, I think that's kind of my own nitpick rather than anything else. I don't think it detracts at all from this game, which I think has a simple but very enjoyable and engaging story. It has a lot of wonderful characters, each with their own quirks and personalities, but again, it doesn't offer anything overly complicated. It's just a very fun time, and it really captures that that X factor of an RPG where there's some charm to it, it's something that you're going to remember, and it's something that you'll for sure enjoy. So I would definitely say if you have a GameCube and you have some extra money lying around, that's a pretty good combination to have, by the way, then you should definitely pick this one up. In any case, I highly recommend it, even for the few nitpicks I had with it. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to our next random encounter.